Hi, my name is Juliana. I completed my funeral service education program from Vincennes University and working as a content creator at nearfuneral.com. In this podcast, let's know best and careful tips on how to write an obituary. Writing an obituary is not an easy task, but it's not that hard too, if you follow few careful tips. Obituary is a short text full of memories, emotions and affection of the person who is not in this world. In most cases it is difficult to summarize their life in short lines. Families like to post the most outstanding details of the deceased with the intention of honoring his or her memory after his or her death in a defined space called obituary. However, since it is a subject that involves so many mixed feelings of joy, sadness and nostalgia, it is necessary to put into practice some tools that help us to concretize the text. If you are in the position of writer, you have the responsibility to cover various aspects of the life of your loved one. Here are some tips to make it easier for you to accomplish this task. Bibliographic details of the deceased. In this data, enter his or her name, age, place of birth, profession or university where he or she studied, characteristics of his or her childhood, as if he or she moved several places or not, even if he or she changed schools. You can also mention if he or she is married and has children or grandchildren, if he or she belonged to the country's army, or they preferred sports. In this first part, a short tour about who the deceased person was written on a social level. It may be a simple task at first glance, however, when the responsibility is carried by the children or grandchildren, it is necessary to contact other family members in order to route all this information correctly. It is our responsibility to ensure that the information provided is accurate, so as not to offend family members, avoid contradictions to avoid the guilt of not honoring our loved one as we wished. Details of the death and funeral. In some cases, the family wish is different. It is not an obligation to share the reasons for the death or to make an open invitation to the wake. However, in most cases it is customary to see in the obituaries the date, place, and time of the burial, so that the relatives can go to place and see the deceased person for the last time before his last journey. It should be noted that the main idea of this note in print seeks to highlight and honor the life of the deceased. Details such as these can be added at the end in a couple of lines that do not take attention away from the commemoration of his or her life. Mark an emotional footprint. This point is the most special of the note. It highlights the main meaning of the obituary, honoring the memory of the deceased loved one. There are several ways to highlight the positive qualities of a person. This can be done by telling the adventures that were done when he or she was alive, and also highlighting how valuable he or she has been in his or her role as a father, uncle, or grandfather. You can also mention their charitable actions in front of a community or their fanaticism towards a sports team. However, what we most recommend is to share those curiosities of his or her being that few people know about, such as his or her fascination for a collection, his or her enthusiasm for writing diaries, or care for plants or animals. Human beings are unique. We each have different ways of making sense of our lives, ways of thinking about certain aspects that can and should be highlighted even after our absence. It is to these details that an obituary should appeal. Revive his essence through a short summary, honor his personality and his life through the legacy he left behind. We all leave a legacy. For more detailed information on how to write an obituary, please visit our website, www.nearfuneral.com. Thanks and stay tuned for more informational podcasts.